Hey guys, B.O.L.T here. So we're here for the Harry Potter summary. This one is pretty easy. There is several different species. There's a magical side of things. There's the human side of things. Um, we are known as Muggles in this world, just normal humans. Then there's the people with magic, which are witch wizards. There isn't any witches, which I thought, but I guess witches are actually like a evil side or a dark sided magical being in this universe. But the biggest thing to kind of get our story going is um, Dumbledore had already set a idea for how magic and the world of magic should be brought up, and he's kind of the headstone of a lot of the more actual Harry Potter series stuff. And he had probably one of the most power. He doesn't have any actual position, but he is actually one of the more reliable sources to actually have something. If you get in trouble and Dumbledore's on your side, you're probably gonna win. But anyways, Dumbledore, he finds a special wand that basically whomever disarms the one person who owns this wand, they gain it, and it's basically the master wand of all wands. But anyways, he finds out in a certain school that there is someone with high potential in magicry, which we finally meet Tom Riddle, also known as Voldemort. He goes to Hogwarts. He actually goes to school with Hagrid the Giant, and he pins the opening of the one of the biggest secrets of Hogwarts is the Chamber of Secrets, and it has a whole bunch of horrors in it. Like it has, I think there's like three-headed dogs. There's ogres. There's trolls, and there's a giant basilisk snake down there. But no one knows fully what's down there. Probably Dumbledore does. But Hagrid has a spider, and he blames Hagrid for all his wrongdoings. And then he slowly becomes more and more dark wizard, and he eventually becomes the most feared black magic user. He uses very cursed magic. He tortures. He does things that are supposed to be inhumane. Anyways, people start to follow him, and they are known as the Deathly Hallows. And he becomes the most feared thing in all of the magical world. The only person that he fears is Dumbledore because of his power, and his wand. But then he learns of a secret society that's starting to go against him. There is the Longbottoms, which are basically the same area that the Potters were. They basically get tortured and are mangled by the Deathly Hallows to learn more about the secret society. Neville Longbottom actually is a baby at the time, and he's seen as a joke during the series, but if you think about it, his backstory is he could be a Harry Potter, but his parents are just there, but they're not truly there. And then when it comes to the Potter story, they learn that both Harry Potter's parents were actually, like James Potter, I don't remember his mother's name, but they were very highly known wizards. James was one of the best Quidditch players. Also, they were pretty wealthy. If you've seen in the first two, actually several movies, they mentioned that he has riches built up. And then you also learn on the mother side of things that she had a sister which ended up being an aunt, you see, but they don't really show this in it. But she wanted to be a wizard just like her sister, but she was never magical sensitive, so she didn't have any magic skills. So when she was actually wanting to go to Hogwarts, she was turned away, and she kind of got jealous of her sister. But when her sister passed, she took on the the burden of having her nephew, but even though she was just a sister, she also wanted to help him the best she could. Um, Her husband was quite the opposite, not really forgiving with the whole thing. He kind of kept overhearing it and just bad mouthed the entire magical society. Then it came to their son, who was just a spoiled brat. And then eventually, I think it was in the Order of the Phoenix, he and his brother, his cousin got into it. A Death Eater came for him, um, and he expelled him, but used magic in the Muggle world, where he got brought before the Magic Council. And Dumbledore came to his rescue during that. But after that moment, Dudley, I think his name, had respect for Harry because he was willing to protect him, and seeing how good, what kind of honor it is to have such a magical ability. So he just nodded his head, kind of was like, "I'm sorry for bullying you." But anyways, we get into the actual story of Harry Potter. Let me go get the movies so I can actually make sure I'm doing it in order. All right. So all 8 movies. So year number 1 being the Sorcerer of Stone. This is basically when Harry met a certain age. They made it known that he needs to be brought in, and so his magical ability can actually be refined. His aunt and uncle tried to avoid him going into it because they didn't want him to have the same fate of his parents. But he does go into this, and the dark arts teacher, who's very famous for his dark arts magic, he keeps trying to kind of breed Harry's mind into doing certain things that no wizard should. And it really doesn't go full force on this one, but anyways, he meets Hermione, who is half Muggle. There's Ron Weasley, which most of the Weasleys are not very well. They're infamous, basically. His older brothers, the twins, Fred and George, are actually jokesters who actually sell magical items. And then their older brother, I forgot his name. Actually, they had 2 brothers, actually. There was an older one and there was a middle one between Ron and the twins. Percy, I think it is. Percy tries to avoid getting known as a Weasley, where their oldest brother actually loves to have the name with him, and he tries to help his family out as much as possible. The parents are very poor, but the father constantly tries to go up higher to do better for his family. And then he has a little sister named Ginny or something like that. Anyways, in this one particular, they're their first year, and they're teleported via like these fireplaces to go certain places. They can take a flying car. There's also there's a train station that if you go through a certain wall, there's 9 3/4. And then there's a whole entire alley known as that's supposed to have all these shops for wizards, for like books and all that for the school. And then this is where we meet the Goblin Bank that Harry finds his parents' wealth. They go through the normal year, you're learning this certain spell, you're learning this type of genre of spells, and basically is just getting you into the basics of magic, and then you have the end of the story, which is basically there's a certain stone that does grant power, that the dark arts. I'm trying to find it. But the dark arts teacher tries to get a hold of, but Harry, Ron, and Hermione get into it, and it's revealed that Voldemort is on the back of his head, telling him what he's supposed to do, and he's basically a Deathly Hollow. The next one is the Chamber of Secrets, Year 2. In this one, Harry and Ron are late for school, so they take the Weasleys' flying car. They crash into the living tree, where Severus Snape, who is actually like the teacher that no one likes, because he likes to follow the rules to a T and use this as his power, but he is also the the childhood friend of Harry's mom, and he did have a crush on her. So he is kind of like the unforetold guardian to Harry. Where there is like an uncle slash brotherly friend of James that was committed for a crime that he did not commit. That was the godfather. His name is Sirius Black. I will mention that real quick because we'll do that in the next film. He's put to Azkaban for his crime. Then we have Chamber of Secrets back again. Basically, they learn more about Tom Riddle's background here, where he actually framed Hagrid. You actually learn that spider that was framed as the beast of the chambers actually went out into the forest, the Forbidden Forest, and grew huge, which terrified me, but it was awesome the same way. And you learn quickly that Ron does not like spiders here. And they actually find him, and he's the size of a mansion, and he's got children that are the size of garages, or even his youngest are car sized. They're able to find a few things out about Tom Riddle. They learn more about magic this year. And then they learn that the Chambers of Secrets have been unleashed. The things like trolls, and there's a petrification going around. And we learn that in this one, Harry's actually part Slytherin, because he is actually a descendant of the headmaster of Slytherin. And I believe he's also one of the headmaster of Gryffindors. That's why he has that. And he can choose either one, but because of in the year 1, he actually chose to go with Ron and Hermione. They fight a few beasts like trolls. They actually run into the basilisk when I think Ron had a stupefy on him, where he got stuck behind some rocks. And Hermione was petrified, so she's out of the game. But Harry meets up with another dark arts teacher. Jesus, dark arts teachers should have a background check. But he ended up being a famous book writer who faked all of his magic accomplishments. He wrote about them to make more money. He becomes a dark arts teacher to kind of do it. He doesn't know a single thing, so include when Harry actually became a Quidditch player, he broke his arm, and he went to go actually fix it, and he ended up liquefying his arm. He comes there to kind of be famous for knowing and helping Harry in the situation, and actually be the one to be a part of the Chamber of Secrets. But he ends up dumbing himself down, and it's revealed that to the magical world that he wasn't what he was. Also, Ron's little sister, Ginny, was actually used as like a life force suck to release Tom Riddle to the real world again as a past self, because he's trying to come back. First time he became a part of the back of the neck of the first dark teacher. Now he's actually coming back in the words of a memory through a book that actually self-written down. It was his diary, and apparently this was spoilers if you haven't seen part 1 and 2 of the Deathly Hallows. Voldemort put his life through Horcruxes. That way, no matter what someone did to him, he would still live. You would have to destroy every single one of these parts of life to kill him fully. And the book was actually one of his Horcruxes, and it's revealed for a later part of how to kill it was the basilisk tooth was able to actually kill the book, and it is one of the few items that are able to destroy a Horcrux. That is why it is like one of the better ones. Then we go to year 3, where Sirius Black has escaped prison to actually meet with Harry. The Death Eaters are coming for him. There's a werewolf on the loose, which is, guess what? Another dark arts teacher, but this one is actually nice. He just can't control himself during werewolf phase. Dr. Lupin, I think it is. I need to rewatch these things, but Prisoner of Azkaban was my favorite because this is where Harry thinks he had met his father from the past, where he thinks his father had came back from the past to save him in this moment, but Hermione uses a special time turner that's supposed to, go through time. That way she's doing all this studying. She does the time turner. That way she meets to class on time. Anyways, she does this so Harry can actually go back. When he's getting saved by Death Eaters, it's actually himself instead of his father. We also meet some more, like there was a centaur we meet in this one, I believe. We also meet Sirius Black. We also learn of, I believe, Ron's rat was actually condemned to that form because he was actually a follower of, and he was actually the one who framed Sirius Black for the crime, and he was actually friends with him at a time. Let's see here. Then Sirius Black is given a griffin, I think it is, to get out of the area, and to be free of Azkaban. Then there's year 4, the Goblet of Fire. There are 3 other schools, Elston, Hogwarts, that during a certain amount of years actually host an event, and that school gets a cup, a trophy basically, and it's dangerous adventures to show off what they done. Every school gets an entrance, but for Hogwarts in this season, for this year, they actually give out Harry Potter for an extra candidate. Which everyone suspects that he did something. And it's Triwizard Challenges, that's what it is. The first challenge was a dragon. The second challenge was some sirens, basically. The third challenge was them going through a maze that lives and has other opponents in the maze. In the end, we quickly learn that, again, the dark arts teacher has been a fluke. In the original, his name was Moody, and he was actually put into a chest, and he's been copied by someone who was actually like the son of a head council person, like Kraut Jr. something like that. Anyways, he is actually a Death Eater that set up the Triwizard Challenges so Harry would come in contact with Voldemort so he would come back. So basically, he took Moody's position to become a teacher. That way he can influence Harry. He got to the cup, put Harry's name in. That way it put out his name. So he's a part of it. And he cursed the cup with a teleportation spell, which put him back to a cemetery where the rat of Ron came out as a servant to Voldemort and had a baby Voldemort, which we learned that actually Harry's mom, before the death of her and the James, she put a curse on Harry where basically Voldemort couldn't Voldemort and Harry couldn't touch each other. And when she also was able to curse Voldemort into becoming a child and revert back to it, so he couldn't harm anyone else past that point. But anyways, with Harry's blood, he's able to bring the rat guy is supposed to bring is able to bring back Voldemort. Voldemort's still not able to touch Harry. They try to go through the stool. He's able to kill a lot of the students that were in the Triwizard Challenge in this one. The biggest one was the son of another headmaster, like another order, and he actually gets killed trying to save Harry. And he mentions to the entire magical world by live that Voldemort has returned. Then we have the fifth year, which is Order of the Phoenix, which I'm not gonna lie, I don't like it at all. Somehow, one of the magical members is able to influence all of Hogwarts, even though Dumbledore is constantly saying you're not allowed to do this. But anyways, Harry in this one displays in the Muggle world his magic. He's put into a courtroom where most of the Ministry of Magic are trying to say against him, but Dumbledore comes to his aid along with a Muggle that backs him up, and most of the Order says against it. But of course, to go monitor what Dumbledore is teaching, they have some people from the court go in there. They start making people no longer teachers. Like there was this florist teacher who was able to stay on the premises because Dumbledore said, "This can be your home. I know you're." This was all she had. So Dumbledore said, "You still have a home. You still can get a place to live here." But she couldn't teach. Then certain things of magic were being taken out, especially a defense. The arts class was no longer available. Finally, they got rid of the defense arts class because 4 films, they're like the main plot point, or the plot switch point. And then finally this year they say, you were not to protect yourself anymore. We just do normal controlled magic in this one. And the actually a Death Eater and actually a Deathly Hollow is actually the one who's actually messing with Hogwarts, and she ends up trying to curse Harry. And we learn that actually there's a lot of people in all of society that are Deathly Hollows. In year 6 is the Half-Blood Prince, where we learn that Harry's able to find a book that used to belong to the Half-Blood Prince that taught advanced, dark, and cursed magic that is forbidden. And in this one, I'm trying to remember. I think in this one, Dumbledore tells Harry of the whole crutches, shows him where one of them is because he believes of Voldemort's return. So he's teaching him because he knows Voldemort's coming for him. You done?
Yeah, I was wondering if you were done.
All right, go. No. Family friendly. No. No family. No. Alright, I'll be in like another 10 minutes, okay? Alright, anyways, Half-Blood Prince, basically Dumbledore knows he's coming for him, so he prepares Harry to know how to defeat him completely. So here's the whole crutches. You already beat one, here's the other one. Dumbledore has to go through torture to even get to this one. And basically he sets up that parts 1 and 2 of Deathly Hollows is him hunting down all of these Horcruxes. The Deathly Hollows are actually coming to kill him, to stop him completely. Every single person that Harry knows is in danger during this one because they're constantly helping Harry. The little goblin in the beginning, I forgot what his name, but he used to be the mouth always house elf, and he was given a sock by Harry, which sets him free because of possession. He owns something. So now he's like, for my life, I'll give you. But anyways, Half-Blood Prince is the setup of Voldemort completely going after war on the magical world. We learned that Severus Snape is actually the Half-Blood Prince, which actually made him have a bond with the Dark Lord himself. And this is also where we know a little bit of his background against James. He's actually like the one who ran against James during all of the school things. But of course, Dumbledore dies. But if you don't know what this was, is during the we already talked about the Master Wand. But the Master Wand, like it says, you have to disarm the person. Whoever disarms the person gains that power. And this starts the little bit of a backstory for parts 1 and 2 of Deathly Hallows. Is Draco actually disarms Dumbledore, and then Snape kills him. Which means Draco is the technically owner of the wand. But anyways, later on, Harry uses one of the forbidden spells to almost kill Draco for killing Dumbledore. But he technically disarms Draco in this one, so Harry is technically the owner of the Master Wand. In parts 1 and 2, he's going searching for these Horcruxes. He's banned from Hogwarts because of how dangerous he is to the magical world. Wherever he is, death is. Voldemort's hunting him down because after Dumbledore, he is the target. He's the only one to actually fight against him. He knows of the Horcruxes now that Dumbledore has told him. A lot of people die. There's a motorcycle trace where people like Moody actually die. Harry's owl he bought in like year 2 dies. Dumpy, that's what it is. Dumpy dies because he teleports Harry and the rest of them out of the area to save them. Eventually, Harry does come back to fort the Deathly Hallows on the Hogwarts ground. That way, they make it this is now a stronghold for Harry and everyone who's fighting against the Deathly Hallows. And then part 2 is basically a war where Harry says, "For peace, I will sacrifice myself." It is the final fight against Voldemort and Harry. Harry loses, but he's put into a afterlife where Dumbledore tries to teach him about other things, including the last Horcrux, which is actually the snake that is his companion, because Harry once during that fight thought he had beat him with all the Horcruxes, but no, it's actually Voldemort. And he also learns that hat that was in year 2 is actually the one that holds the sword that can actually kill Horcruxes as well. So anyways, he gives that sword to what's his name? Longbottom, that's his name. The Longbottom kid. He actually is the one to take out the snake. That way, both Harry and Longbottom have a part in this ultimate destiny. Their parents fought against Voldemort. Now they are both helping to kill Voldemort to finish their parents' business. Anyways, after Harry's death, he realized that he actually was a part of the Horcrux. So when Harry died, it gave them another chance at beating him. So basically, the first Horcrux was the book. The second Horcrux was the one that during Half-Blood Prince, Dumbledore showed him. There was a few other Horcruxes during part 1, and then the last 2 were Harry himself and the snake. Anyways, there was a part of Voldemort in him. That way, the biggest weapon against Voldemort was actually the only reason he could live if the snake was killed. Anyways, when Harry Potter died, that means there was no one to hold against him. But since he was in like a middle ground, he was able to come back, fight against Voldemort, He was scared now because Harry technically died, so that's one less Horcrux. Um, so now it's just protect the snake at all cost. But of course, with the sword, the Longbottom kills the snake, and then Voldemort thinks that the Master Wand was able to overpower Harry in this moment during the final battle. But he quickly realizes that Harry is technically the owner, and he's able to disarm Voldemort easily, and he kills Voldemort with the last shot. And then Harry breaks the Master Wand, that way no one else can have the power of such. And then he basically just sets up to where he's done with Hogwarts. Everyone is free of this looming darkness. Deathly Hallows are either killed or put into prison. There's a part that I'm still questioning, which was we also learned that there may be another Weasley, which was like the Vultrix or whatever, the one who killed Sirius Black in Order of the Phoenix. And she might be the older daughter of the Weasleys. Anyways, that's really it. We flash forward into Ron and Hermione being married, Harry and Ginny being married. They have kids. We also meet that Draco eventually settled down himself and had a kid. And they're all going to Hogwarts for their first year. And Harry says to his son, you can either pick Hogwarts to be with your cousins, or you can be with, you can also meet new people in Slytherin, and basically do your best. You are a huge origin with this. You have the Potter name. You have two of the original headmasters in your blood. You're gonna be fine. Anyways, to end it off, not many people are a fan of the Cursed Child, but to kind of summarize that, so I don't have to come back to it, we learned that Hermione and Harry have actually been having an affair with each other, so the Weasleys have the bad end of the stick again. We quickly learn that that Harry's son and Ginny's son are actually he wants to be a Slytherin this time to get away from the Gryffindor head that most of the Potters have done. So he's actually the first Potter for a while to ever have a Slytherin class. And he actually does this to actually impress Malfoy. The son of Malfoy is the why he does this, and we learn that they are trying to create a relationship between Malfoy and Potter, and it ends kind of crazy. So basically, we have this affair between Hermione and Harry. We have a gay relationship between the Malfoy kid and the Potter kid, and then the last thing, which is the biggest bullcrap, is we learned that Voldemort and the one who could technically be the older sister of Ron, Venatrix or whatever her name was, Beatrix or whatever, had a daughter who is trying to bring back the Dark Lord title to herself and try to kill off all of the Potter bloodline. Sort of pulling a Dio. Oh, I want to kill my entire rival's bloodline. But anyways, that is it for the the 7 years technically. And then we also have that little Cursed Child. I didn't completely understand Child, and it's been a minute since I've watched these, so I did it based on whatever I remembered. So anyways, I have some yard work to do because we have a little girl's party to go do tomorrow. So everything needs to be cleaned for that. So anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.